Welcome to Recognize, Respond, and Refer Youth Suicide Prevention Training here at Pacific Coast Academy. My name is Eric Valverde. I'm the mental health professional here at Pacific Coast. And today we'd like to take the opportunity to discuss with you how you can help support your students who may be experiencing mental health related issues and or having thoughts of suicide. In addition to being your primary point of contact with students who may be experiencing crises, I would like to introduce to you other members of our student support team who may be available to assist if I am unavailable. We have Dr. Netta Burley, who is the Program Coordinator of Student Support, and then Andrea Warner, the Director of Student Support. Prior to beginning our discussion, we would like to acknowledge the sensitive nature of this topic. While the content of today's training is important for ensuring student safety, it may be emotionally difficult for some participants. Please take care of yourself during the session. If you need to step away at any point in time, pause the video. You are welcome to do so. Support resources are available, so if you would like to talk with someone afterward, feel free to contact me and I'd be happy to consult with you or to provide additional resources. We want to start this training by emphasizing the unique and powerful position we hold as school staff. We are lucky enough to see students and families on a regular basis, building relationships, noticing patterns, and often catching the small changes that others might miss. Because of that, any one of us could be the first person to notice when something isn't quite right, and that single observation can be the first step in getting a student the help that they need. Today, the main objectives are to be able to recognize, respond, and refer. We hope to help you understand and to be able to recognize when a student might be needing help. This training also aims to equip everyone to respond with care, what to do, and how to support a student in the moment. And in addition, we hope this helps to let you all know our school's safety procedures so that you are able to refer a student to the appropriate support and resources when needed. We're starting our time together to look at recent data, not just to examine the numbers, but to understand the reality our students are facing and why our presence in their lives matters so much. Having discussions such as these matter because we are losing youth to suicide every day at an unsettling rate. In 2021, there were approximately 7,126 deaths by suicide among U.S. youth ages 10 through 24, making suicide the second leading cause of death for this age group. According to the Center for Disease Control, accidental deaths, homicide, and suicide are the three leading causes of death for teens between the ages of 15 and 19 years old. And in the most recent Youth Risk Behavior Survey, 22% of middle school and high school students reported seriously considering suicide in the past year. And even more alarming, out of these students, 10% of students reported an actual suicide attempt. Suicide is not just a middle or high school issue either. Younger students are also at risk. Among 8 to 12-year-olds, suicide is the fifth leading cause of death. Suicide rates among this population have increased 8% annually in recent years. While these numbers are disheartening, I would like to emphasize that this training matters because we each have the power to make a difference. Trusted adult relationships are an important protective factor that we have in preventing student suicide. Not only are we in a unique position to be able to regularly observe students, national surveys consistently indicate that teachers and school staff are among the first people who youth confide in when they are in distress. A recent study showed schools where students felt isolated from adults having a higher rate of suicide attempts, while students who felt strongly connected to at least one or more adults at their school were less likely to attempt suicide than those who felt disconnected. So whether you're supporting students one-on-one, supervising activities, park days, or field days, helping families, or interacting with them online during check-ins, you may be the adult that a student opens up to first. You don't need to be a mental health expert to make a difference. Just being present, noticing, showing that you care can be an important factor in saving the life of a student. In addition to being a present, trusted adult, knowing what to look for when it comes to mental health and suicide risk is essential. The next section will focus on the first steps in our framework, recognize. We're going to walk through the signs to pay attention to across 4 key areas: how students speak, how they behave, how they regulate emotionally, and the situational stressors they face. Warning signs aren't always an immediate crisis. Often they are clues that tell us a student is struggling. You don't need a student's full backstory or a degree in mental health to make a difference. Simply noticing when something feels off allows us to catch concerns early and to take the right next steps. It's important to know that warning signs are not always an immediate threat to a student's well-being. What these signs do alert you to is that there may be a potential threat. Keep in mind that seeing a combination of these warning signs over time can indicate that a student is struggling mentally. We'll take a look at the verbal component first. This consists of spoken and written language, not just auditory, what we hear. More often than not, you may be alerted about a statement of self-harm or suicide that a student has made through some form of written text. Students may feel more comfortable texting since they feel a greater sense of privacy. This can make it easier to open up about their difficult feelings. Next, we'll look at the behavior component. When we think of behavior, sometimes we think of sudden changes in behavior. But what if it's the start of the school year, or if you have a new student and you don't really know the student that well? Can we still make a determination of risk based on how a person is behaving? Absolutely we can. Talking or writing about suicide, extreme mood swings, changes in sleep patterns, engaging in risky behaviors such as driving recklessly or experimenting with drugs or alcohol, or even giving away possessions are key clues that we would want to be aware of. Let's take a look at the emotional component. This consists of feelings that may be reported to you by the student, feelings such as hopelessness, constant sadness, bursts of anger, and maybe they appear to be lacking in energy. Lastly, let's take a look at some of those situational triggers. Things that put a lot of pressure or cause significant stress on the student. Bullying, loss of a loved one, major life changes such as moving or changing schools, academic pressures, conflict in the home are all examples of situational triggers. Some students are more vulnerable because of the things they have experienced or are currently facing, like trauma, bullying, or a history of mental health challenges. These are known as risk factors. But just as important are protective factors, like having a trusted adult, healthy coping skills, or a sense of belonging. These don't prevent all risk, but they can make a big difference. You might not know a student's full story, and you don't have to, but being familiar with your students and where they come from may help you notice when something feels off, which is what is most important. It would be helpful to determine if there are recurring themes in a student's language. This can be through their written work or what they may say out loud. Warning signs are things you can actively watch out for in your students' day-to-day. They help us be aware of what the student may be struggling with or about their beliefs about themselves or the world. The first type of warning sign to be aware of are the verbal cues. While changes in behavior may occur over time, it's often the things that a student say that may alert us first. Pay close attention to the words the student used. Even offhand comments, jokes, or text. If a student talks about giving up or being a burden or disappearing, take it seriously. These statements are sometimes dismissed as drama, but they can be signs of a deeper issue of distress. 80% of individuals considering suicide give warning signs either verbally or behaviorally, communicating their distress or intentions before making an attempt. 80% of people who die by suicide visited a primary care doctor within the preceding year. Behavior can also indicate that there is a problem, and behaviors often change when a student is struggling. If someone suddenly stops showing up, turns in late work, or seems irritable or reckless, these may be a sign that something is going on. Students may also show distress through their online activity. If a student posts about death, disappearing, or making cryptic statements, it is a good idea to consult with your mental health professional to determine steps moving forward. If anything else feels out of character, it's a good idea to pay attention and to bring it up. Emotional warning signs may be more subtle, but they're also worth noting. These are changes that you may notice. The emotional warning signs may not even be evident as some of the other behaviors listed in the previous slides. Students may not use the word depressed, but they may describe feeling empty, tired, detached, or like they don't even care anymore. Students experiencing sharp mood swings can also be a red flag. Another emotional warning sign that is often overlooked is when a student who's been deeply withdrawn or depressed suddenly seems unusually calm, happy, or at peace. This might look like a positive change, but in some cases, it may actually indicate that the student has made a decision to end their life and is experiencing a sense of relief. This does not mean that every mood improvement is dangerous, but if the shift feels sudden or out of character, especially after intense distress, it's worth checking in. Sometimes the tipping point for a student isn't internal, it's something external that's happening in their life. Students may have never faced situations that seem beyond their control. As a result, they may not know what self-regulatory skills may be used in certain situations. These situational triggers can happen to anyone, and they often feel beyond our control. Even if they are anticipated, certain situations can be difficult, like if we know a loved one's health is deteriorating. Or what if a student knows that they will be moving away from their friends or family soon, a community that they were deeply connected with? These situational triggers can increase emotional distress and result in mental health issues. And for vulnerable students, this can even lead to suicidal thinking or behavior. So let's break these down. Loss can be the loss of a loved one, a friend, or a pet, or even a breakup. Maybe it's losing a home, or maybe it's a parent moving out. Trauma can include exposure to violence, abuse, or witnessing scary events. Life transitions, even ones that seem neutral or positive, such as starting a new school or getting a new sibling or moving, can create instability. For some students, these transitions are layered with complex emotions. Bullying is a known risk for suicide, especially when it includes repeated social exclusion, public humiliation, or identity-based harassment. Even subtle forms of marginalization can have a big emotional impact on our students. Any of these life stressors, especially when paired with emotional or behavioral changes, can increase a student's vulnerability. Being aware of what a student is going through helps us notice when something might be off. Once you recognize a possible concern, the next step of our framework is to respond. Responding doesn't mean solving problems, diagnosing, or treating a student. It simply means showing up, offering a calm presence, and letting the student know that they have been heard. It is completely normal to feel a bit anxious or discomfort when approaching a student who may be in crisis. You don't need to have all the perfect words. In this section, we're going to break down 4 key actions to guide you in that moment, along with practical conversation starters, tips for trusting your gut, and crucial things to avoid. How you show up in those initial moments creates the safety a student needs before we take that next step together. If you notice something is off, or if a student shares something concerning, how you respond to that moment matters. You don't have to say the perfect thing, but these 4 actions can help guide you. First, we want to stay calm. Your composure helps the student feel safe and contained. If you appear panicked, they may shut down or feel like a burden. Number 2 would be to be clear. Don't be afraid to ask these direct questions. Are you thinking about suicide? This won't plant the idea in the student's head. In fact, that may open a door for honesty and relief from the student. Number 3, we would want to listen. Create space for the student to speak. Give your full attention. Don't rush to fix the problem or dismiss the problem. Just listen fully. Allow silence if needed. You don't need to rush to fill in those moments of silence. And then number 4, we would want to reassure. Students often find it challenging to ask for help. Let them know that they are not alone. Use validating language such as, "I'm really glad you told me. Thank you. This sounds very hard. You are not alone. I'm here to help you." Responding with warmth and empathy can go a long way. Keep in mind that it is normal to feel a little anxious and discomfort when approaching a student you are concerned about. Just remember, the goal is not to take on the student's problem or to have all the right answers. Instead, focus on approaching the student with honest inquiry, concern, and compassion, then connecting the student to the right kind of help. On this slide, we've included some conversation starters and quick tips that might be helpful in navigating those difficult conversations. To start, you might say something like, "I notice," "I care," "How can I help?" Some other quick tips: remain calm, it's okay to be uncomfortable. Ask questions and listen. Kids want your attention, not necessarily your advice at first. Be prepared for the truth. It can be hard to hear at times. Listen to your gut. It truly is your best tool. Of course, there are things we would like to avoid when having these conversations. For example, we never want to promise secrecy. It can prevent you from getting the student help. Don't ignore concerns or delay. Time matters, and it is better to overact than to miss a sign. Avoid minimizing. It's natural to want to comfort your student, but be careful not to minimize what you are observing or what a student may be reporting to you. Kids often say that the most hurtful thing is when their feelings are minimized or not taken seriously. And finally, don't act alone. Always follow the referral process and involve the designated staff or emergency responders right away. So to sum up this section, remember this: ask clearly, listen carefully, and don't keep it to yourself. We'll talk more in the next section about how to refer a student and to follow our school's procedures. So here we are. You recognize something is concerning and you responded with care in the moment. Now it's time to take action. Refer. Please remember, you are not expected to handle this alone. Referring simply means notifying the right people right away to ensure the student is supported. In this section, we're going to walk through our school's clear step-by-step referral process, including how to navigate both imminent risk/emergency situations and urgent concerns, what steps to take during school hours, and how to address calls outside of school hours, proper documentation, and what happens after you make that first handoff. Following these procedures is one of the most critical ways that we can keep our students safe. Our school has broken these situations into two categories: emergency situations and urgent concerns. This flowchart shows exactly what to do in both of those scenarios, so feel free to take a screenshot and keep it accessible, but this documentation can also be found in the HST handbook. First, let's get into the imminent risk situation. Imminent risk means that the student is in immediate danger and you must take immediate action to keep them safe. Some examples of this may be a student messaging about taking pills right now, or a student becoming unresponsive after talking about ending their life. In situations like this, it is critical to get the student help as soon as possible. If you are in contact with a student, even virtually, stay with them. If you are in a class full of students, dismiss the other students and keep the student at risk online. Try to get the student's exact location. Ask them, and hopefully they are willing to disclose, or use our students' database to determine where they likely are. If you know a caregiver is nearby to support, involve them immediately, as they may be the first person who can respond the quickest. If not, call 911 right away. Remember, the goal is to keep the student safe and to get the student help as soon as humanly possible. Urgent situations are situations that are high risk, but there is no evidence of immediate danger in that moment. You can think of the difference between emergency situations and urgent concerns in the same way you would think about how you would respond to health-related situations. You might ask yourself, is this a situation where I can drive myself to the doctor or urgent care, or do I need to call 911? Urgent situations still require prompt, same-day referrals, but there is no immediate safety need to be addressed in that moment. In situations like these, you may consult with me at the end of the day. Some examples of this type of concern are if a student is going through a breakup or major life transitions and uses depressive language such as "I can't do this much longer," but does not indicate that they want to harm themselves. Or if a student submits a work example containing dark themes like death or dying. If you come across something like this, or if you notice a concerning decline in a student's presentation and functioning, notify me by phone or by Google Chat right away. If you are unable to contact me, you can also contact your designated program coordinator. Make sure that you continue to reach out until you reach someone who is able to check in on the situation. Sometimes concerns arise outside of school hours. If this occurs and the concern is imminent, you may follow the same imminent risk procedures outlined in the suicide risk response flowchart. If the concern is urgent, contact the student's caregiver immediately and advise them to check in on the student. Once the caregiver has checked to make sure the student is safe, you can provide the caregiver and student with crisis resources, such as the Student Lifeline, 988, or the local mobile crisis response team, which is a multidisciplinary team that responds to and provides support for people during mental health crises. If you are unaware what the risk level is, you can call or text 988 for support. Once the immediate crisis has been addressed, whether the crisis occurred within or outside of school hours, contact your immediate supervisor, administrator, and mental health professional if you have not already done so. Make sure to document the details of your interaction in your confidential notes and to add a brief note, such as the ones listed on the screen, to contact manager and pathways. When you refer a student, you can expect a couple of different outcomes. In imminent risk situations, emergency services are called first to ensure safety and will provide immediate support. After the crisis is stabilized, the school mental health team will follow up to coordinate ongoing support. In urgent situations, the school mental health team steps in right away to screen for risk and create a support plan. In both cases, caregivers are contacted and supported, and the team monitors the student over time. The staff who referred may be updated when appropriate, so you know the student is being supported, but many details may have to be kept confidential by the mental health team. Your action starts a chain of support that ensures the student is not left alone in their current struggle. By referring, you've taken a crucial step that can save a life. In this next section of application, we're going to put it all into practice. We're going to take a look at some vignettes and go through some examples of things that you may encounter. Here's our first vignette. I'll be reading the answers to each vignette, and if you have any specific questions regarding these, again, feel free to reach out to me. But here's a practice exercise vignette. A middle school student attends a synchronous class. You've noticed that he appears slightly depressed. His mood state is not negatively impacting him to a significant degree. However, there has been a slight decrease in participation and he appears tired. When you spoke with his parents, they report noticing similar changes. And here are your possible answer choices. What do you think you should do in this situation? Option A, do nothing, as there have been no major changes, only minor changes. Option B, make a referral to your school's mental health professional so they can determine how to proceed. Option C, refer him to an appropriate Tier 2 group so he can learn some healthy coping techniques. Or D, inquire about any changes to his routine or changes in the home. Follow up with parents as a way of documentation and to monitor progress. The best course of action that we can do here would be option D. HSTs may be the first to notice subtle changes that occur in their students' expression. HSTs may also be the ones who have the greatest rapport with their students. A brief inquiry may help you to understand the reason for the recent changes in the student's life, and it's also a way of showing the student that you care. Following up with a parent as a way of documenting your concerns is best practice, and have follow-up communication as needed, especially if you begin to see a decline in mood, behavior, or academics. Here's our other vignette. At one of the vendor sites, a 5th grade student leaves a notebook that is found by one of the non-school vendor staff. In the notebook are drawings and messages with violent and suicidal themes, and a list of hated people, including other students and staff who also attend the vendor activities. The student has left the vendor to go home. The vendor staff calls you to let you know what happened. And here are the possible answer choices. Option A, make a referral to your school's mental health professional. B, notify parents as soon as possible. These are specific statements about self-harm and potential harm to others. C, this is an imminent threat. Call 911. D, ignore. You've already contacted the caregiver in the past. The student is already in outside counseling to address issues regarding anger management. And the option that we would select in this case is option A, make a referral to your school's mental health professional. There are some urgent concerns in this vignette. Drawing and messages of violence, themes including a list of people that he hates is definitely a red flag. But this is not an imminent threat, as there are not specifics to an action that will occur immediately. However, he should be screened by a mental health professional at this point. A student that you have been concerned about due to recent changes in mood and behavior enters class and is highly disruptive. He refuses to speak with a mental health professional in a breakout room and tells you this will be his last class. You see him fidgeting with something on camera and you think you see a lethal weapon. Here are the possible answer choices. A, you send the student a message and provide him with a crisis hotline number. B, notify, call or through Google Chat with your mental health professional. C, call 911, keep the student on camera, try to connect with a caregiver. D, attempt to speak with the student privately after class. You have a good rapport with the student and the student will be more likely to speak with you. In this situation, we definitely would call 911. We would want to keep the student on camera and try to connect with the caregiver. Let's take a look at this vignette. A student attends a LP meeting with their HST to review progress. The teacher notices that a student appears to have not slept, has very poor hygiene, and is not able to concentrate. When asked if okay, the student is very irritable. The parent reports that the student had a recent breakup from a long-time dating relationship, isolation and withdrawal, recently getting high frequently, and that they are worried to leave the student home alone now, even if it's for a short period of time. Possible answer choice A is do nothing. Since parents are aware, nothing is urgent, remain in periodic contact with the parent as needed. B, notify and consult with the school's mental health professional to determine how to proceed. C, make the recommendation that the student receive mental health treatment and or medication. D, speak with the caregiver and document the conversation. No SI, which is suicidal ideation, screener is needed. And here the correct answer would be B. There have been changes to many aspects of this student. In this case, it would be best to consult with the mental health professional. And in this next section, section 6 is wrapping up some of the most important key details and takeaways of today's training, and also just some tips to take care of yourself. To wrap up, as a trusted adult, by recognizing, responding, and referring when a student may be experiencing mental health issues, you truly can make a difference. Also, remember you are not alone and that you are part of a team who are here to support students. Here are some resources that are available in crisis situation. Staff, students, or families are able to use any of these resources. We also want to remind everyone to please take care of yourself and to be sure to engage in self-care today and throughout the school year. When we deal with suicidal concerns, it's normal to feel stressed, worried, or even heavy afterwards. Please don't carry that alone. Reach out to colleagues, supervisors, or our mental health team as needed. Also know that we as a school have the Employee Assistance Program, EAP, that is available for support. This could be for yourself or even other family members. I want to conclude our training by thanking you for your attention and your commitment to our students and their mental and emotional well-being. We appreciate the relationships and rapport that you build with your students, and we know that it is a huge contributor to student success. My name is Eric Valverde, and if you have any questions regarding today's training, please feel free to contact me.